All right, so let me bring up Jess Lenovelle, Listings Lab Method, runs a group of 32,000 agents. I had the honor of interviewing Jess here recently on Real Estate Business Builders. I'm gonna spotlight her. And yeah, so the thing I like about Jess, and the reason I wanted her to come and spend some time with us is that uh, she had a big business, built a big business, built it rapidly, and then decided that her heart was more toward teaching and giving to others, and pivoted everything to do it, and which is really, really cool. So Jess, the stage is yours, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, take it away.
Awesome. Awesome. So Lars asked me to come and just do a little kind of talk with you guys. I will give you a little bit more background as we go through this in terms of who I am and why the heck you should listen to me. But I'll kind of run you through that in a couple minutes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to go through a training that most people I think will find really helpful. I think that a lot of people really don't fully understand digital marketing from this standpoint. I want to go through some social media stuff with you. My focus, basically what I do is I help agents go from 6 to 7 figures by creating relationships at scale. So everything that I do is 100% scalable and also isn't necessarily manual. So that's something that I think is really, really important in order to create a 7-figure business with freedom. I just wrote a book. Actually, last year I wrote a book called More Money, Less Hustle, Becoming the 7-Figure Real Estate Agent. So everything that I'm going to talk to you about and everything that I really focus on isn't just about big income goals and building something that is, highly, highly lucrative. It's also focused on time efficiency. And I'm a really big believer that the reason why I push people towards that 7-figure mark is because it's really where you're going to be able to buy back so much of that time and so much of that freedom, which we all got into real estate for in the first place. So we're going to go through the 3 steps to getting consistent clients on social media. Everything that I'm going to talk about today is digitally based. If you have questions as we go through this, please don't be shy. And we can, I can kind of answer questions as we go. Lars, remind me how much time I have here so that I can adjust.
You've got, well, there's lunch after you. So if you run a little bit late, I slotted an hour, but there's nobody
Okay.
coming after
Okay,
you.
cool.
So you're good
I
on
won't
time.
be late. I won't be late. So this one will probably, unless people have a ton of questions, will probably be about 45 minutes. So I start every training this way, and I'm sure that if you guys have been sitting in a chair, which I think all of you have for a little while, maybe you want to shake your legs out, because I promise you I'm going to give you the goods in the next 45 minutes. Eliminate as many distractions as you can. Be as actively engaged as you can. As we go through this, there are going to be things that are different than you've heard before. So don't assume, okay, I've heard this before, or this won't work for me. I'd like you to kind of come at it from a different angle and reframe it into, how can I make this work for me? How can I actually take this and implement this into my business? If you want to email me, you can also email me if you have questions after the fact. I'm pretty much an open book. I'll drop my personal email in the chat right now so that you can kind of take notes as we go. If you don't want to ask on this call, you can always send me an email after. This whole training is built around real estate agents who want to leverage social media or digital marketing to grow their business. They don't want to be doing the manual, the more traditional stuff. Maybe you've been trying to figure out social media, but you're either overwhelmed or what you're posting really isn't getting you the clients that you want. Now, every single thing I'm going to be talking about today is inbound. So it's not, okay, I'm going to generate a bunch of cold leads and then you got to hit the phones for 8 hours a day. This is very much people reaching out to you and saying, hey, I've seen your stuff, come list my house. The people who we work with, and I'm going to give you examples as we go through this, I'm going to do some case studies along the way. The people who find a lot of success with this are the people who are very consistent. So the people who actually take action, and it can be messy. And a lot of the time, and we're going to talk about this in a couple of minutes, but a lot of time people get really stuck when it comes to putting stuff out online because it's not absolutely 100% perfect. And I will kind of start this with, I'm a really big believer that perfectionism is just procrastination in a cuter outfit. So if you consider yourself to be a perfectionist, I will call you a procrastinator, because if you don't take messy action and you don't take action quickly, things are never going to move at the speed that you need them to in order to actually create exponential change or exponential growth in your business. Okay, so a little bit of an unpopular truth to start off. If you are not able to develop a consistent and predictable marketing strategy that generates you high caliber clients, notice it says clients and not leads, you're always going to be stuck inside of a business, constantly spinning your wheel, feeling stressed and overwhelmed. And I think that will describe a lot of people just in general. So I want you to realize right now, you have, and this is very conservative, you have 10 to 15 clients sitting in your warm social media network right now. They're just sitting there. You can easily pull them out. You just don't have the right things to say. So what we're going to go through is, how do we actually take what you already know, your knowledge, wisdom, your expertise that you already have, and turn it into clients that actually want to work with you without spending money on advertising? And I'm going to talk about why we're talking organic before we talk paid traffic. How to basically create or craft your marketing message to attract that top 5%. We're also going to talk about competition elimination. So how to not have a lot of competition for your services, even if you're in a really saturated market. I am from a market that has 60,000 licensed agents in it. So there's pretty much no such thing as more saturated than where I come from. And we're going to talk about reducing or eliminating commission haggling. I'm also going to go through the 3 types of content that I use and that we teach to turn your organic Facebook profile into a consistent revenue stream. I'm using Facebook as an example because it seems to be the most approachable from a social media standpoint, but every single thing that we cover today can be used on all of your other social media platforms. This is also going to feel good. I promise you, nothing's going to feel gross or sleazy or old school or salesy about any of this. And for everyone here, after the fact, I will send Lars the exact questions that you want to ask your ideal clients to get their pains and problems that he can send out to you. So it's basically a questionnaire that is going to essentially give you all the market research interview that you need in order to pull out messaging that is actually going to create good marketing. And that's usually the missing piece for a lot of people from their marketing, is that they're creating their marketing in a vacuum. They're not actually creating their marketing from the audience and from the messaging that's coming from the market. Especially when we're going through market shifts, it is super important that we pivot our marketing messaging, and that message has to come from the market. It can't come from you. So just a little quick rundown. I myself built a multi-7-figure, very lean real estate team while I was selling. I sold for 14 years. Since then, I've helped over 1,000 agents craft their messaging. I think we're at over 2,000 now from social media. Forbes and Entrepreneur Magazine come to me when they need social media advice and expertise when it comes to real estate specifically. I have spoken on some of the biggest stages in the real estate industry, huge stages. I'm speaking again in November on stage with some fun people, Magic Johnson, Bill Clinton, some people from Selling Sunset. I built my business on Facebook in 2005. So obviously the platform has changed dramatically, but I'm super introverted. I will turn it on for you guys for the next hour, but let me tell you, after this, I live in the Bahamas now. So like, I will probably go into a cabana outside and like read for 2 hours because I am super introverted. And so, if that's something, if you're a little bit shy or a little bit introverted, sometimes what ends up happening is you don't realize how much energy it actually takes for you to be able to show up fully. So we really want to make sure that everything that you're doing is actually fully and unlimitedly scalable, so that you don't have to show up every single day with the same amount of energy over and over and over again until you're burnt out and exhausted. So a lot of what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to back up with results and examples and things like that. And I just want to have a little disclaimer. The people that I talk about today are not your average, like, I did part of what you teach, but not all of it. They're the people who actually took things, ran with them, took messy action, and followed the system in full. So let's get rolling. Basically how to attract consistent clients from social media. There's going to be 3 major steps that we're going to go through. The first one is your social profile funnel. Your second part is your client-centric messaging. And the third part is captivating and convincing content. So we're going to start with the effective setup of your actual profile. Okay, so I'm going to break down piece by piece the different aspects that you need on your profile, because when someone lands on your profile, your business page, your Instagram account, whatever it is that we're talking about, you have less than 3 seconds for that person to decide, I'm going to stay or I'm going to go, which is the most frustrating thing in the world when 90% of agents have exactly the same looking profile. Their content's the same, their bios are the same, there's nothing really that's setting them apart. So we really want to get really super clear. Now, I'm assuming most people here have a Facebook profile of some sort, and shame on you if it looks like this. I'm hoping that it doesn't, but there's a lot of people who's do, it's a picture of a sunset maybe on your cover photo, or maybe it's like, gasp, like a picture of your business card. We're going to talk about what to do instead, how to make this better, and how to make it what I call sticky. So your personal profile is money waiting to be made if you just know what needs to be on there. And before I go into this next section, the reason why we're talking about your personal profile and not your business page is because we're talking organic. Your business page has absolutely the worst reach on all of your social media platforms organically. And a lot of people don't realize why. They're like, oh, nobody likes my business page. Nobody interacts with my content. My engagement is so bad. Well, it's because Facebook is a business and you are waving your hands and saying, hey, I'm a business too. And so Facebook says, okay, well, if you're a business and I'm a business, then you should pay to play. So your business page on Facebook is there to house your ads. You will not get good organic reach from it pretty much ever. So if you're organically the only place that you're posting is on your business page, you're probably not really going to see an ROI from that time or from that content. And a lot of this has to be translated into your personal page because that's the social networking side of the app or the social networking side of the platform. And that's where you're going to get the most organic reach. That's how you're going to actually make money from organic social media on Facebook, just as an example. So people are watching more than you think. We all know this. We all lurk. We all have somebody that we don't engage with that we follow, and we just read all their stuff and we creep on them all the time, right? So there's a lot more people than you think that are doing that. But here's the breakdown. These are the 4 things that we actually want to have on a good, well set up, sticky Facebook profile. I'm going to start with your cover photo or with your profile banner, and I'm going to break this down in detail. Your profile banner must have a photo of you. And it must be in color, and it must not be a real estate headshot with your arms crossed. It needs to be something that is super relatable to the people that you want to target. So you can see here, I'm using Ashley in Detroit as an example here because her profile's set up well. So she has a picture of her. She works with growing families, so that's her niche. And you can see here, she's chosen a photo in color that will relate or will resonate with the people that she's trying to attract. Now, the reason why your profile banner is so important, this is the biggest piece of real estate that you have on Facebook. And most people think of it as an afterthought. They put, a beach picture on there or or just something else. Now, there's a lot of times, pretty much for your cover photo, you don't ever need to change it, like maybe once every couple of years. So your profile, this cover photo really should be static and shouldn't change because it's going to be one of the most important visually sides of your profile. So this is something that, there's a lot of times on social media or on Facebook when your profile picture doesn't show, like on your birthday, for instance. Facebook doesn't show your profile picture, it shows your banner. And so if you don't have your banner set up well, then, a lot of the time they're not even seeing a picture of you. So the photo of you is super, super critical. The other thing that we want to have in the banner is your value proposition statement, which is your I help statement. So if you don't have an I help statement built out for your business, then that's also something that you're going to want to work on. It's I help who achieve what? Achieve what? Using or with, and then your method, the name of your actual methodology. And we're going to talk about this more in a second. I just dropped that formula in the chat. So you can see here, Ashley has, using my alignment method, I help growing families in Metro Detroit find their dream home. So it's, what do they do? Who does she work with? Where is she located? You would be flabbergasted how many agents you go on their profile and I cannot figure out where they are. I can't figure out their location. It happens on Instagram. It happens on Facebook. They just don't have location really, really clear. So that's also something that we want to make sure is there. So you have these two things. And then the third part on your profile banner is a call to action. So when I click on this, this is going to open up a really simple landing page, and it's going to have first name, email. And with that, I'm going to be able to put Jess and then my email, jess@thelistingsLab.com, and I'm going to get an email with her alignment method guide. This is going to go through basically an entire presentation of who she is, who she serves, what she does, what her services look like, and why she does things the way that she does things. This is highly, highly valuable to someone who is actively in the market. And the reason why this works so well, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, is because anybody who lands on this doesn't have to contact her, doesn't have to interact with anything, can kind of secretly lurk, and then they end up subscribed to her email list and are getting something of high value. The second part of your profile that needs to be set up well is your profile photo. Your profile photo should be you looking at the camera with your eyes visible. No sunglasses, no black and white, no back of your head. If you're going to have someone else in the profile photo, it should be very clear who that is and that it's not you. So sometimes you'll have like an entire family photo. That's really not ideal because it is your personal profile. Am I frozen, guys? No? Okay. So we have that also in color. Black and white photos do not perform well on social media. They just don't catch the eye the same way. They get scrolled past. Value proposition statement. So again, just the same value proposition statement that we worked on before with your I help statement, that should live underneath basically in your bio. And there's a reason why we want this here. We want to make it super, super easy for people to know who you are, know what you do, know who you serve, all the things. A lot of people here will have things like dog mom, yoga lover, realtor, sushi fanatic, like something like that, right? At the end of the day, we want to make this as clear as possible. And we want people to know, again, within 3 seconds, am I staying or am I going? The last piece is going to be relevant content. But before we get on to this next part, I want to just highlight the intro section right here on the left-hand side. So if you have a million things that you've inputted here, like a brokerage that you worked at 10 years ago, remove it. Because a lot of people don't realize this, but Facebook will cycle through what they show people. So a lot of the time things will come up and it'll say, former realtor at, Remax Ultimate. And it looks like you're not in the business anymore. So we don't need to know what primary school you went to. We don't need to know what camp you went to as a 10-year-old. We need to know the bare minimum, and it needs to be as clear and as concise as possible. So if you didn't grab the I help statement or the value proposition statement, feel free to take a screenshot of this or take a picture or whatever works easiest for you. Because this is really like old school real estate marketing had a lot of taglines in it. I would say new school real estate marketing, or like nowadays, this is the information that people want at like essentially the snap of their fingers. So Ashley, when she first started this, she was, so basically all you have to do, there's a million, that's a whole tutorial, Shannon, Jeremy. If you just Google or you go onto YouTube and you just type in exactly the question that you just put in the chat, you'll get a step-by-step. It's not difficult to do. YouTube is your best friend when it comes to like Facebook tech. So Ashley actually added in her first year, she's been with us for several years. In her first year, she added 150,000 in Metro Detroit. Since then, she has actually, she's probably in the high 6 figures. So this is some of the things that she had to say within her first year of making these adjustments. So, when you get tagged in a Facebook, like a community Facebook group, and there's like 100 other agents tagged, and you're like, oh, well, just forget it. I'm never going to get that. Well, Ashley gets them consistently, and it's because of the way her profile is set up. So like she'll get tagged in something in a community group that's like, oh, you know, Sally is looking for a realtor. Who do you recommend? Well, Ashley consistently gets that business because when people see the value prop, they see her post, they see the way that her page is set up, it works particularly well because someone is, again, able to subscribe to her email list, download her guide, get so much from it just from clicking through from a tag. The other thing that she has over here, yep, your business and your personal page should be set up exactly the same way. You're not going to organically, like I mentioned before, get a tremendous amount from your business page unless you're running retargeting ads. But again, you still have to have one. It's like having a website nowadays. You have to have a business page. So you can see here, I've tripled or quadrupled my business and diversified my client base. I'm so grateful. A lot of it is organic content. So yes, I do recommend making your personal page public. If you have things that like really personal stuff that you don't want to share, you can actually segment your lists on Facebook, and you can create different lists that see different things. So like if I was going to do something that was highly private that I only wanted my immediate friends and family to see, and I didn't want the 5,000 realtors that are on my Facebook, I would just post to a specific list. Nope. Normally, I would just say you want one business page that speaks to one specific avatar. If your business runs with your spouse, absolutely, you should have one business page between the two of you, and both of you would have your own separate personal pages. Okay, so the next part of it is client-centric messaging, which is once you've set things up, you really need to know exactly what you're speaking to and exactly what you need to be talking about. So a lot of the time people get frustrated with online marketing, or the thing that I hear all the time is Facebook ads don't work. And it always makes me laugh because I'll think, well, Nike runs Facebook ads. And if Facebook ads don't work, I'm pretty sure that Nike would have figured that out by now. I think that the real issue that we're having here is that most people in real estate are just boosting posts, or they genuinely don't really understand what or how to use these platforms really, really well. So your marketing right now is getting you exactly what you're asking for. So if you're not getting great clients from your social media, or you're getting no clients from social media, then something's wrong. And the wrong, quote unquote wrong, is always messaging. So if you want better clients, it's not tech, it's not some back end opt-in that's not set up correctly 99% of the time, it's messaging. So if you want to market to people in a way that they need to be spoken to, your messaging, your marketing must meet that person where they're at with the quality of the problems that they have. So this is really these are the three biggest mistakes that I see that agents make when it comes to trying to create campaigns on social media. Number one is they make it all about them. Number two, they're trying to speak to everyone. And number three, they've outsourced to some Canva loving third-party platform that is literally just posting quotes and random photos of like staircases. And a lot of the time, that's not really, it's not gonna do what you want it to do. Why would you pay something that doesn't have a substantial ROI in your business? The whole idea is not just to show up on social media just to like tick the box. It's so that you can actually consistently grow and compound. So let's go through the mistakes one by one. It's not about you, it's about your clients. To a certain extent, yes. And I know you're probably thinking, but it's my social media. Don't I have to be on there? Yes, of course you do. But the number one question that people ask themselves before they post on socials is, what do I want to say today? That's the wrong question. The right question to ask is, what does my ideal client need to hear from me today? What is going to be the most valuable thing that I can talk about or post about or speak about, or, you know, whatever it is, or share about, right? And a lot of it has to be client-centric. It has to be client-focused. We are all incredibly selfish on social media. We do not follow or engage or click more or watch videos that aren't either super entertaining, emotionally enveloping us, or are highly valuable. So you have to have a detailed and targeted message that addresses people's specific pains and problems. This is the emotional side of creating relationships online. And people make decisions emotionally before they make them logically. It's just always been the way that human beings are built. So many agents are using their social media as a billboard. And that's the opposite of the way that the platforms are built. That's not what they're built for. And it's actually not what people, the majority of the general public, wants to see, which is why so many of the just listed, just sold, and all of the like your typical salesy, realtor-y, content, most of the people who are engaging with that are other agents. It's not actually speaking to or attracting the ideal clients that you really want to be talking to. Yep, I'm going to get into that, Diane. I'm going to go through your content mix in the third part of this. I got you. Okay, so second part, if you're trying to speak to everyone, you're speaking to no one. We are all guilty at some point, myself included, of vague real estate messaging. Back in the day, the key, like I had all kinds of strange taglines back in the day that I thought were just me doing what I was supposed to do, but they don't work. And vague messaging doesn't work. Things like, I'm here for all of your real estate needs, or, I can help you buy, sell, rent, and invest from here to Timbuktu. It doesn't mean anything. Basically, the way that other people are reading that, the way that, and we've done a lot of market research on this, the way that the general public reads that is they think that most agents are just super desperate for business and they'll take what they can get. That's how it actually is communicated. And that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to like set ourselves up as like industry experts, and people want to come to us, and we have credibility, and we're human beings, and we're creating these relationships, and that kind of vague messaging doesn't do that. So all your marketing needs to have an audience. You want to be speaking to a specific group of people who have a human problem. So a niche, guys, this is going to hurt some of you. A niche is not a type of property. It's not luxury is not a niche. I know, guys, I know. Luxury is not a niche, because let's say luxury, basically what it means is like you're going after people with money, and all kinds of different people have money, right? We've got people who won the lottery. We have people who inherited a bunch of money. We have people who are incredibly like proficient at tech. We've got business owners, we've got doctors, we've got all kinds of things, and they do not have a specific human need. Right. And so what we want to do instead is we want to niche down to a group of humans with a shared problem, things that we can target basically the life transformation, the life movement. So things like upsizers, downsizers, first-time buyers, the LGBTQ plus community, dog owners living in condos, single professional women, young families. All of these examples are human-based niches. The other thing that we don't do anymore, and is something that like I don't teach anymore, is geo-targeting or like location targeting. And it's because we had to do that before we had the internet. It was the only way to be consistent and frequent. It was the only way, because we had to be manual. We had to be able to door knock, we had to be able to cold call, we had to be able to flyer. And now we have this incredible ability to get in front of people through the interwebs. And that actually gives us the ability to use proper human psychology and use proper psychologically driven marketing, which we didn't have before. So we had to be vague, and we had to geolocate, and we had to do all of these things that we don't have to do anymore. So our targeting abilities are actually so much better. Most agents, I'm not saying you guys, I'm just saying, I'm generalizing here, have absolutely no idea the real reason why people move, what is actually driving their clients' moves, because we're not actually going far enough back from a psychological standpoint. We're only going after the low-hanging fruit. So when we truly understand this, this is when the actual marketing becomes deeper, and we're able to connect with people on a deeper level. You're actually able to build proper relation. When I talk about relationships at scale, it doesn't start when somebody makes the decision to move. It starts far before that. And so a lot of the time when we're looking for higher quality clients, we have to go at this from a place of solving higher quality problems, right? All businesses solve problems. So what's the solution? How do you actually generate any of this? Is interview, right? And I have a coach who I work with very in-depthly, like from a personal standpoint. And his favorite line, and it drives me mental, guys, is say more. I'll say something and he'll be like, say more. And I'm like, but I just said it. But then of course there's more. And the more I actually allow myself to keep talking, the deeper we get. And it's the same thing when you're doing your market research interviews. Things like, and I'm going to give you these interview questions, so don't worry about it. I'm going to give them to Lars. Lars is going to give them to you. But again, there's always going to be something deeper. We always want to go like essentially 7 layers deeper to get to the actual real stuff. So this is how to conduct an actually good market research interview with the stuff that I'm going to give you. Do it over Zoom or on the phone. Never email. Never, never, never. If you send email questions, you're going to get the super one-liner, basic, surface level stuff, and your marketing's not going to work. So again, we want to probe further, ask follow-up questions like, tell me more about that, or how did that show up for you? Or even just don't talk. And I know as agents, it's very hard for us to not talk sometimes, but we just sometimes need to use silence as a really great tool to get people to keep talking. So your strong messaging, once you've actually pulled this out of your market, will then allow you to create or present a solution. So now we've gotten clear on the pains, problems, fears, and desires. The next piece is, what is the solution? And this is, again, something that I feel very strongly about. You cannot sell yourself as magic. If you are the product, your business is not scalable, because eventually you will run out of time. So you have to have a product. And so you need to have a signature system that not only will become your unique value proposition or remove you from the pool of being just another agent, but will also become your product. And all businesses have products or services that solve people's problems. Your signature system becomes that service package, or becomes that product, becomes the thing that you actually sell. And I think so often people forget, people in real estate don't sell real estate. That's not your job. You don't sell real estate. You sell services, and you consult on the sale of real estate. So if you don't have services and a proper service package and a proper product that you're selling, then you're not setting yourself up for success. And so a lot of this just, again, comes from, everything starts with the market research interviews, and then everything gets built from that. So from there, what we want to be clear on is that when you create this messaging that makes people feel like you're in the back of their head, you become the only person who's really specifically speaking directly to those people, and you become their only choice, right? No one is going to come to you and say, Beth, I've seen your stuff. I love it. You're the only person that I want to work with. I feel like you're inside my head. Will you list my house for 1%? It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So the commission haggling goes away because the business is inbound. And that is really something that shifts or changes. It changes the power dynamic of the relationship as well. Now, what is really good marketing? And it doesn't matter if it's digital marketing or a Super Bowl commercial. Really good marketing is being able to articulate or connect with something that's in the back of your ideal client's head better than they can. When you can do that, people will automatically credit you with the solution. So that solution then has to be your service package or your signature system. So then it creates a compound effect or a domino effect, right? You have one happy, ideal client who came to you, who feels like you were speaking directly to them. And then you have this incredible service package that is exactly what they needed and solved all of those problems. Then it leads to another and another and another. And honestly, this is how people get, will end up not only with a ton of inbound business that is coming from social media, but also they start getting referrals from people they've never worked with, because people feel that element of trust or that innate trust. And that's really where a larger compound effect will happen. So this is Erica. This is a couple of examples. Just grabbed a new listing. First thing the owner says, have we met? I watch all of your videos, so I feel like we have, but I actually don't think so. I didn't even have to pitch the business. I was hired as soon as I got out of the car. This is people letting their marketing do the work for them. I've been stopped several times by people I didn't even know follow me on social media to tell me they love my content. I'm not even through my first 30 pieces of content, and I have almost the same amount of business in my active pipeline through mid-March that I closed all of last year. So again, people are getting to a point where they are essentially like quadrupling their business from actually showing up on social media, doing something that's actually relevant. Sharing a win, just left a listing meeting. Wife says to me, I told my husband I didn't want to work with anyone but you. The videos you put out are like you're totally inside my brain. Okay, so that's what good marketing is. It's I feel like you're in the back of my head. So the next part of it is the content. But before we actually go into the actual content itself, there's a lot of people who have a lot of good intentions, but actually what stops us from showing up? It's fear of judgment. And a lot of the time, the stuff that stops us it's actually kind of irrational, but I used to have the same thing. When I first started creating videos, I used to go on the rooftop of my building and I would film them up there and I would yell at my husband if he came anywhere near me. And he'd be like, these are going on the internet and lots more people than just me are going to see these, right? And it didn't matter to me. I was so uncomfortable and I hated the video part of it so much. And I was so worried about the fear of judgment. But it's human nature. I came on this, and for the first 5 minutes, you guys were all thinking, does she know what she's talking about? Should I listen to her? It's how we categorize people, right? Like everybody is always judging everyone. I'm talking about everywhere, Diane. Like this framework that I'm teaching you here will work on every platform. Now, the actual, whether if it's Facebook or Instagram, it's going to be shorter form than if it's YouTube, or if you're doing YouTube shorts, then again, it'll be shorter form. But the content mix is the same because human psychology doesn't change. The platforms that we use are a little bit different, but again, human psychology doesn't change. These are immutable principles that will work no matter what. And these are the things that I believe are missing when people are only focused on, what ratio should the size of my video be? Or, they're not really building the foundational pieces or that, again, stranger to client psychology to give people what it is that they need in order to actually create results. The results don't come from whether you have a videographer or not. The results come from the psychology that's built into your marketing and whether or not your marketing is hitting the right pain points and you're providing a relevant solution and people are seeing you at the right frequency. Like those are the things that actually create results. There's people who have really, really raw, just handheld phone videos that are doing $200 million a year in real estate. And they're doing it because they're consistent and because their messaging is correct. It's not about, being the fanciest or being the flashiest. So coming back to this, whether you're posting about your dog, your family, your food, your business, your beliefs, whatever it is, everyone is still judging. Everyone is still categorizing. It's how the human brain works. But if someone is trolling you, guys, I get all kinds of them. I get all kinds of fun trolls, but we actually have a great time with them. But if you are concerned about being trolled, you do not know what someone else is going through. And comments that people leave on ads or on social media or whatever, they're just a mirror. But at the end of the day, you need two different types of people. You need two sets of people on social media, and you need your shoppers and you need your sharers. So your sharers are going to be the people who like and engage and share your stuff. They're going to get your message out there on a larger scale. And then you have your shoppers. Your shoppers will never like and engage or share anything. They will be completely lurking. And then they'll show up in your inbox unannounced with, I'm ready. It's always the way. And so if you're worried, so many people get so hung up on engagement and things like that. And I always say, like, it doesn't actually matter as much as you think, because the real people who really, really want to work with you, they're not engaging. They're waiting. They're biding their time, and they'll let you know when they're ready because they're going to show up in your inbox. So just a reminder again, you've got a bunch of deals sitting in your warm social media network. Now let's get into content. So what do we post? Have you tried these? I'm being snarky now, just in case you hadn't noticed. Just listed, just sold, asking for referrals, memes, posting content from other people, market updates. And when I say market updates, I mean infographics, photos of staircases. We've all done it, but they don't work because they're not targeted to anyone. And like I mentioned earlier, your ideal clients don't care about anything that doesn't pertain to them. We're all super, super selfish on social. So what do we actually want to do? We want to go deep on content. This is Norm. Norm's a really great example. He has had a great, like, he's been in the business for a really long time, has a great repeat referral base, but he really wanted to start shifting things online. We worked on his stuff, eight clients in 60 days. Norm was a bit of a straggler. He actually started creating content that worked, but this is how we did it. We got crystal clear on who his ideal people were. We identified the biggest problems that person had. We identified his personal Facebook page as his main source of how he would generate leads based on who he was targeting. So whatever platform, it's not about, so often people will ask me, what platform should I be on? Well, my answer to that question is, I don't know. Who are you targeting? Because certain demographics, certain groups of people are on different platforms more consistently. So you go to them as opposed to thinking that they're just going to come to you. So again, 8 clients in 60 days, and they weren't like, oh, we're interviewing 100 people. We'll see if you can be on the list. They were messages like, hey, Norm, my husband and I have been pre-approved for a mortgage of $400,000. We're ready to start seriously shopping. Will you be our realtor? Right? They're inbound, really, really high quality leads. So these are your buckets. Should we have different target audiences for each platform? What I would suggest that you do is only focus on the platforms that your target audience is on. I think that realistically, if you're going to do it really, really well, and you don't have a big marketing, like a big in-house marketing team, then I would suggest 2 to 3 platforms at the most. And a lot of this content can be repurposed on multiple platforms if you're creating it following these 3 buckets. So here are your 3 buckets. We've got authority content, personal content, and social proof. So authority content is content that shows that you're an expert. It's the credibility side of things. Diane, no, ideally you don't want to, because again, the more you vague out your messaging, the less it's actually going to work. So, I always say, if you don't need more than an extra 2,000 deals a year, which I guess most people are probably not aiming that high at this point, you should probably just niche down into one area, into one demographic, because you'd be absolutely shocked. Like, we have people in our programs that have one target demographic that are doing hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in production coming from their social media. And it's because their messaging is actually resonating and it's actually breaking through the noise. So authority content, credibility content. A lot of this is going to be helping your client understand a part of your signature system, which we talked about earlier, overcoming an objection or a myth. Objection handling in content is incredibly important. So a lot of the objections that we're getting today are market objections. And so, if you're answering the question once, why wouldn't you answer the question on social? Why wouldn't, like, every single question that you're being asked from your clients right now is authority content. It's a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know what to talk about, or I don't know what content to put out there. Well, if you're answering the question for one person on a showing or in a listing consultation, then chances are, if you take that same question and you answer it in a video or in a piece of content, it's going to perform really well, because that question is clearly there. Authority content is your teaching content. It's your show, it's your value content, it's your delivery content. And you can see that, like, you don't have to, again, a good light or a bright window and a phone is all you need. And not all of it has to be video. I think I'm a really big believer in a 50-50 split. 50% video, 50% written content, I think performs really well. We do still have people who don't watch videos, but we also have a lot of people who don't read long form content. So you want to be able to have a really good mix. The second one is personal content. This is probably the one that's missing for most people, because a lot of people think, oh, I'm a business. It's not professional for me to have personal content. Well, we've all heard the cliche of, with your marketing, you want to build know, like, and trust. That's like the cornerstone. How can someone know you, like you, and trust you if they don't know anything about you? It's impossible. So personal content is the emotional side of it. People make decisions emotionally before they make them logically. I said that before. It's super important. The emotional side of it is actually the beginning of a decision. So the personal content should reveal a piece of who you are, share something that's happened in your life, give your opinion or philosophy on life or business or anything like that, share with you who you are outside of the job. So it can be extremely vulnerable and incredibly deep, but it also doesn't have to be. So Entrepreneur Magazine, as an example, this is just an example of a mix between PR and personal content. I think it was in 2019, maybe, did an article on me, and the title of it was how I escaped domestic violence, built a 7-figure empire, and found love along the way. Like, it was heavy stuff, and it was a big, long article. And I got more business from that article than pretty much anything else I've ever put out there. And it was because there was a human element to it. There was a human side of it that people actually, whether they related to it or not, they saw me in a different light, and they saw me as a human being who could be trusted, as opposed to a real estate robot. So there's a lot of different forms of personal content, right? So it can be funny. If you're funny, be funny. If you're not funny, don't try to be funny. I think a lot of it just comes down to authenticity and being yourself and talking about your personal beliefs, your personal philosophy, your personal story. No, Anthony, I wouldn't go back and move anything. Just like what I would do is just like start from today and make a commitment to just do better in the future. If you want to, after you have like a critical mass of new content, then you could go back and you could, get rid of some stuff from before, but you don't really have to. Eventually it'll get buried at the bottom of your feed. Okay, social proof. This is some of my favorite. So social proof is third-party bias. You saying I am so fantastic and I am so awesome and I should be a realtor and look at my awards is very different than someone else talking about how awesome you are. So this is really the like, how do we do client reviews? How do we do the what you're trying to get across with like a just listed or a just sold, but in a better, more humble, more effective way? Well, case studies, testimonials, and PR. So testimonials, I'll start with. Testimonials should always be a screenshot. If you have fantastic reviews or you get beautiful messages from a client, just save them. Take a quick screenshot of them. When you move them into a program like Canva or, some sort of a design studio, you actually make them less effective, because the more designed they are, the more chance that they are faked. And unfortunately, we live in a world where people fake reviews. So a lot of the time, what we need to do is make them ugly and raw and super trustworthy. Video testimonials are even better, but some people struggle with getting them or asking for them. But video testimonials are always going to be better. But a mixture, again, is always a good thing. So if you have written testimonials, screenshot them. If you have video testimonials, awesome. Just keep them short, because sometimes clients, when they love you, will go on and on and on and on. So we want them essentially to be less than a minute. Case studies. Case studies are basically one of the most powerful things that you can do in marketing, period. So case studies are the stories of your clients from start to finish. Where were they before they started working with you? What process did you take them through? Where were they a year after they worked with you? HGTV is a really great example. So HGTV is an entire network of case studies. And we have all been drawn in to an HGTV show at some point. Before I moved to the Bahamas, I watched every episode of Bahamas Life that has ever been created. And then I moved on to all kinds of other countries, because I was like, I was basically living vicariously through the people in these shows that were inspiring me to make this decision. And I actually, when I bought my house in the Bahamas, I used an agent that was on Bahamas Life, because I understood her process. I understood her personality. I built whatever sort of strange real estate relationship that I had through the television. And so a lot of it works the same way. Like the case studies of your clients, every single deal that you have ever done, you could do a case study on. So it's not like you have a lack of content there. So go back, look at them, tell the story. And stories are 22 times more memorable than facts. So when we're talking about memorable content, people aren't going to remember some infographic of market stats that you put in front of them. But what they will remember is they will remember a story of someone who they related to, of, Sally and James, who, bought their house, were looking for a fixer upper, but, I don't know, whatever that story is, someone is going to relate to it. So this is an example here in the middle, Stephanie. A lot of my clients are in a similar situation as Jim and Laura. They need more space after their first son. They've been looking for the right house at the right price to make, but with room in the budget to make home improvements. So this is what she did. She framed this really well. And then she gets to now talk about her process in a way that's not super braggy. She's highlighting the client. She's taking them through their journey with her. And it's very clear that she is the reason why all of these wonderful things happened without her being that salesy real estate side of things. The last part of it is PR, and this is really underused. PR is just media. And a lot of the time we sit back and we wait for a journalist and we think, wouldn't it be cool if one day I got invited to? When journalists are just content creators and they're always looking for content. So what if you just called someone up and said, hey, I would love to be available to you when you need commentary on whatever this is, or I have this really great story, or there's a website called Help a Reporter Out, HARO, and you can literally go on there every single day and there are hundreds of real estate articles that are needed, comments, and that's how you get yourself featured in stuff. And then you take that content and you get to be in front of that audience, and you also get to put that content or that article or that video or that interview in front of your audience to create more credibility. So all of this just kind of works in conjunction, right? Again, this is showing people that you know what you're doing and that you can be trusted. So when we break it down, this is really what we're looking at. We're looking at your optimized profile funnel, your client-centric messaging, your captivating and convincing content, and then consistency. So yeah, it's just consistency. And I know I just wanted to give you an option here. I'm just going to go through some of these. If you decide that you want to have a chat with me or you have any questions, you can fill out this. We'll do like essentially a free session with you. But again, if you have questions or there's anything that you want to ask me about, it's just jess@thelistingsLab.com. I just wanted to give you guys an option. If you guys have further questions about any of this, I know I talk quickly. That is a thing I do. So if you missed any of it, or you need clarity about anything, or whatever you need, I'm an open book and I'm available.
Awesome. So we have you for a few more minutes if you're able.
Yeah.
What questions do you guys have? This was unbelievable, just awesome from a marketing standpoint to hear all this. And I would say your Facebook group is
my
probably
Facebook
one of
group's
the
awesome.
most, yeah, it's really, really good. I'm so jealous of your engagement and what you got going on in your Facebook group. So I would say everyone get over to the Facebook group, Listings Lab.
Yeah.
For sure.
Here, let me drop the Facebook group link in here if you guys want to.
Yeah, really
hop
good.
In there.
So let's see, there was a couple questions, but I think you got most of them as you were going along. There was one, yeah, we've all done the
is it possible to schedule a post on your personal page? No. There are a couple of apps that are starting to work on it. They're not consistent. You can schedule everywhere except your personal business page, your personal Facebook page, which is annoying. So that's the only place that you're really going to have to be manual.
Yeah, that's sort of a selfish question that I have. How much of this stuff is you need to be the person versus getting a little bit of leverage with a VA or some technology or?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it looks like you and it sounds like you, that's the most important part. I always say that everything has to be customized to you, to your market and the demographic that you want to work with. The content comes from you, but the posting and scheduling and organization, and if you want to cut up longer videos, all of that can be done by a VA. I actually own a VA, or I own part of a VA company that does that for real estate agents. So there's a lot of that can be outsourced. The thing that I would not outsource is the actual content creation or the messaging.
Awesome.
Okay, what is the minimum posting frequency? Whatever you could be consistent with. I would say like 5 times a week would be a minimum. I post less than that on my personal page, but it's because I post every day, 7 days a week in my Facebook group. So I tend to prioritize my Facebook group over my personal page, just because I only have room for 5,000 people on my personal page, and I have over 30,000 people in my Facebook group. So, but again, the way that you want to look at it is your personal profile is 500 leads. You can nurture 500 leads for free. Sorry, 5,000 leads for free on that platform, and you can get a lot out of that. What do you recommend for social proof if our current clients are not our ideal clients? Okay, so first of all, I would say we want to get really, really clear on who your ideal clients are. Your ideal is high value listings. That's not really a niche. So we want to get clear on like, what is the actual niche that you want to go after? Is it in your market? Is it upsizers? Is it young families who are going to sell something and buy something else that at a higher price point? We just want to like get really, really clear on who is it that we're targeting. And then from there, you can start working towards that. If you don't have a lot of social proof that fits what you're trying to do in the future, we use myth busting content as a filler in the meantime. Myth busting is basically what it sounds like. It's busting a myth in the real estate industry. It creates a lot of credibility and a lot of trust. So things like the truth behind open houses, or what does sold over asking really mean? Things like that. You're kind of pulling the curtain back and you're showing people the truth behind all of this fluff that happens in the industry. Do you recommend posting to your personal page instead of posting to your business page? No, don't share between platforms. So that's also something that I think is really important to remember. You want to organically post everything. Even if you're posting the same thing on your personal page and your business page, which is fine, you don't want to share from one to the other. It looks spammy and it actually hurts your engagement. So you can use the same thing. You just post it again. It'll take you 2 minutes, and it'll actually create a lot more visibility with it. What's the VA company? Jennifer, if you have a question about the VA company, just send me an email. I am 1000% more than happy to make a connection. It's called Agent Freedom, but they have there's a couple of different packages, and I want to make sure that you get taken care of. So just send me a quick email at jess@thelistingslab.com, and I'll connect you. Are stories important or valuable? I'm not sure exactly what you mean. If you mean personal stories, then yes, absolutely. All stories for the most part. That's really what social media is intended to be. It's a storytelling they're storytelling platforms. Whether they're, past stories or current stories or funny stories or valuable stories, stories are always going to be a really, really important part of it. What's the difference between your Facebook group and so my Facebook group is all 100% real estate agents, and we throw value and trainings in there every single day. So it's basically my primary place on social media other than my Instagram that I create for on a daily basis. So there's tons and tons of trainings in there. There's a lot of value in there. We give a lot of free stuff away in there. And we answer a lot of questions. So that my personal Facebook profile is full. I think I would have to unfriend people to refriend people. And I'm a lot more active in the Facebook group. Even if it's IG straight to Facebook. I think you're asking about sharing, and yes, the answer is the same. Don't share across platforms.
And let's end with the last question from Amanda. So time suck, where does it drift over into okay, you're really probably not being productive? How do you draw that line?
So I spend 10 minutes a day on social media. And I think that from a creation standpoint, you really don't need, once you get in the flow of things, you don't need more than an hour or an hour and a half a week max. And if, let's say that you're generating, you triple your business, I think that's a good hour and a half to use. I think that a lot of people will spend a tremendous amount of time scrolling on social media, and that's not going to be an effective use of your time. So I would say focus on creation rather than consumption.
Awesome. All right, everyone unmute yourselves and give Jess a huge round of applause. Jess, thank you so much. This is awesome.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thanks, Jess. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.